It was so horrifying. I don't even think they had it on the news. They couldn't show it.
It was on the Iowa local channel.
It was on Iowa local channel.
Yeah, it's on Iowa local channel.
But it's coming to you first, folks, from WRIX. A special report. You got one of them.
No, but you sound pretty good doing that.
I was fixing to say that.
That's awesome. I like
especially
that.
with your voice cracking. Can you do that again?
No.
I'll tell you what. You just speak in Morse code, and we'll interpret like
Okay. But anyway, this is a hot story now. I mean, people's called wanting to do a movie about this already so far.
Has they sold the rights to the book yet?
Not yet. But there's a man attacked by a rabid skunk. This week. Come out and gnawed on his pants leg, and he's trying to shake it off. And this guy, he's well known about these parts, and a pretty good shot. Always talking about shooting stuff in the head.
Yeah. Little things too.
Little things,
Squirrels.
yeah, squirrels.
Yeah.
And folks, y'all pick up on who this is right and early, but I've been waiting all week to talk about this hostile. How many shots was fired?
Yeah, matter of fact, he made a guest appearance on the show last Saturday.
Yes, sir. But anyway, shots was fired, and I mean it's a bad situation. And there's, way I hear it, his name is R.T. Moore. Is that right, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, that's the way I've heard
That'd
it.
be his initials, R.T. Moore.
That's right.
But way the story goes, and what I've been told, that R.T. got attacked by a rabid skunk. Then he got had to stand up on a little barrel. That's got to be him calling. R.T. was standing on the barrel and he had an arsenal in his hand. He had a rifle in one arm and a pistol. And he shoots this skunk.
He had a standoff with a skunk.
He had a standoff with a skunk. The skunk had him up at bay. And he shot the skunk first time he missed it. And in the second shot, he killed an old drum. And I know we're going to have people protesting the old drum shooting.
This is a founding member now of the NRA.
And sure shot RT. Killed an old drum. And his nephew Kenneth is up there hollering. Telling he's up there hollering for him. And this has been so funny. This way I've been telling this story to everybody, and I can't even hardly talk this morning. But I think RT finally killed a skunk, or somebody finally killed a skunk. So there's been a shooting in Abbeville County of a skunk, folks. I'm glad RT's survived, though. I hope he survived. I ain't talked to him this week.
I hope he didn't fall off the bucket.
I hope he didn't either, and land on the skunk. That could be a messy situation. I just wonder if it's sprayed or not. Our coffee maker's in there trying to make her coffee right now. But yeah, I'm hoping RT's well and with us this morning. I'm sure he's going to call in here if he doesn't try to call. He's probably on his way up here now to whoop my little tail. But that was a scary situation in Abbeville County.
It could have really got ugly.
That could have really got ugly.
And it may have. We may not know the whole fact.
I just wondered if you imagine shooting an old drum. I just wonder how much oil he's got everywhere. Oh me. But yeah, I wish I was in the corner somewhere or another with a camera. And we got a caller on her.
We have the man that's involved in the story himself.
I got
This is coming straight from the horse's mouth.
Good morning, Mr. RT.
Lost your voice and been laughing all weekend.
That's probably what's happened.
In the first 5 minutes this happened, it wasn't laughable at all. I gotta say. It's a good thing I had extra doors on because I needed them when I did there. You're right. And first off, it wasn't a barrel; it was a picnic table I was on top of. My old pappy, bless his heart, he told me for years I used to fall asleep in the woods all the time. He said, "Boy, something's going to eat you." I used to hear this all the time. Don't get on the ground and fall asleep. Something's going to eat you. Well, who would have thought about a 5-pound skunk would just about accomplish that task for me? What happened was, and I know Kenny's been down there laughing because they took pictures. This is the bad part. It's a shame when there's a digital camera involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it'd been a live video. I'm sure I would have got the America's Funniest.
All I heard you was up on top of something and screaming.
Okay, here's a story. I was sitting there minding my own business at my 300-yard rifle range like I do, hunting off the picnic table. I know Bobby laughing. He hunts off the picnic table. To me, it's the safest place to be. It's warm, you know. It's not real warm. It's cold as dickens, but the wind wasn't blowing. You don't get rain on. I'm sitting there. Wind was sitting there for about 3 hours. I hadn't seen as much as a squirrel. And I was sitting there at the picnic table, and I kept getting a whiff of skunk. You know, you get that whiff when they kind of walk by. And just a little whiff, and I just took a lot of it. And they got a little stronger and stuff, and I felt something tugging on my leg. And I thought, I got a black dog who's bad about grabbing Rich's leg and playing with you. And I said, get off, look down there and stuff, and there was a full-size skunk, black as ace of spades, except the tip of his nose, tip of his tail. Grabbing Rich's leg, had his teeth buried in my overalls. And luckily, they're my long overalls. Tugging away, and I'm sitting there thinking, all kind of stuff goes through your head this time. Am I going to get sprayed? And then I saw his eyes glazed over his tongue, and I said, he's got rabies. Of course, this is a microsecond thought. And so sitting at the table holding a 223 rifle and a Glock strapped to my side, my thought was to get him off of me. Now, one wall's walled in, and behind me it's got a vehicle on one side, a vehicle on the other side, and my $1,200 lawnmower on the other side. And I said, I cannot shoot without shooting myself and the concrete floor in all these vehicles. So I took my leg and whammed it against the side of the post of the picnic table about 4 times, trying to get him to release. You know, he was hung on pretty good. And he kept growling, making noises, and I whammed it. Finally, I bruised my leg enough, but he let go. And my thought was, at this point, he's going to spray. And I hopped up, and I know, as big as I am, I don't hop real good. And I crippled up. I hopped up at his picnic table, turned the rifle, and realized I can't shoot him. I'm going to blow up a truck. We'll blow up some various things. And I got fuel stored up there and other things. And I said, I'm just going to stand real still so he don't spray me. And I stood there a long time. It seemed like a long time to me. And he started running around fighting everything. He hit the tires in the truck. He hit the table. And I was thinking, I didn't realize at the time he was totally blind. And I thought he's going to see me, and I'm going to be drenched in some bad-smelling things. So I kept following with the driver, so maybe I had a 40-caliber Glock. I think, no, that'll bounce for sure off this concrete, and I put a hole in 2 or 3 vehicles. So he finally kind of wandered around a corner. Now, meanwhile, I got the cell phone out, thinking, my nephews, you know, Kenny and Ronnie are down in the woods hunting deer. I'll just get Kenny come up here to 22 rifle and dispatch this skunk for me from a nice safe angle.
So you saying Kenny's hunting with a 22 rifle?
No. There was one down at my brother's house, and I called my sister-in-law. I said, listen, and nicely called me. I said, is Kenny and Ronnie still in the woods? Yeah. You think you could go get them and tell them to come out and pick up the rifle because I'm out of cornered. I'm cornered by a skunk. She said, cornered by a skunk? I said, yes, I'm cornered by a skunk. So she goes out to get on the four-wheeler, and it don't start. So I hear her going down to the woods hollering, yeah. Luckily, Kenny and Ronnie were about halfway up from the woods, and they come to see their mom was going on. Meanwhile, the skunk decided at that point to leave me and walked into the side of the garage, and I hopped off that table. And once again, I hopped a whole lot better than I thought I could. And I got outside, and I'm thinking, I got to shoot this skunk before these guys get here because it's going to be embarrassing. I just know it. So the skunk, as I stepped out there at that 223, which is sighted in for 100 yards, folks, not exactly a close-up gun, the skunk stepped out between my dad's truck and Sylvia's truck in a nice, clear place I could shoot without hitting the house. So it's just a very important thing, folks. Don't shoot your house either. And the skunk got there and
done that before, too.
Yeah.
He was sitting there kind of making that crazy noise, and I laid down the ground and looked through the scope, which is a mistake at that range, and pulled that trigger and blew up 2 one-gallon containers of daggum motor oil. One of them, the first one was a metal can, and it exploded and just detonated all over my dad's truck, all over the floor, and the other one punctured that plastic jug and just kind of made it leak like he was bleeding out. And the skunk kind of dodged the bullet. And I pulled the trigger again and shot the ground. So now I got an oil-covered skunk, I got an oil-covered truck, lawnmower. My dad, when he was alive, secretly would beat us to death if we got any oil in that floor for that garage. It's covered, buddy. It's got oil for one end or the other. And I was thinking, holy crap, and I get down the house, I don't run, I kind of waddle off down the house. I left the four-wheeler at the house, stupid me, get down to the house, got my 10-22 Ruger rifle, get back up there, and the skunk's still in the garage making this funny noise and banging this stuff and biting tires in there and all. And about that time, Kenny and Ronnie pull up pull out their firearms, got a 22 pistol and stuff, and the skunk steps into my garden, and I shot it 10 times.
10 times.
I got a question, RTJ. Like the opening scene from RoboCop where they just tore that guy to pieces.
Yeah, it was more like that. And the worst part of it was
Robo-skunk.
When you get a skunk's got to be turned into a dick or whatever. You don't want to shoot him in the head. Kenny runs out there and said, "You dirty sucker," and shot him in the head with his 22 pistol. And at that point, the skunk released, okay? Kenny says, "Oh, this stinks." I said, "Kenny, that's why they call it a skunk." So the skunk's laying there perfectly perforated, you know. The garden's got a bad smell. The top of the hill started stinking. And Kenny holds his nose and says, "I think I'm going to puke." I said, "Kenny, you done gutted 1,000 deer." And he said, "This is pretty sickening." I said, "I know, that's why I call it a skunk." Anyway, Ronnie whips out the digital camera. We hold up the oil can so you see what I actually killed. Pictures of the skunk and stuff and all. And I got one heck of a mess to clean up. You know, and I not to mention my britches feel a little bit runny at the time. And I went to go get my truck to get a bunch of sawdust from the sawmill, and the truck wouldn't start. So I had to jump and get that. Right, the truck stalled. The truck ain't going to start. I get a jumper, go up there, get the sawdust, come back down there. It don't start again. And then luckily the boys stayed to help me shovel sawdust all over this oil. I go to pull the truck out, and guess what? My brother's got the keys to the truck in his pocket in Abbeville. So I'm thinking, this really can't get much worse than this, you know, until Kenny goes out and just tells every living soul about this thing. Which, you know, it's funny. It's funny everybody else ain't had it, but you're right. A video would not have given us full credit to be standing on top of this table with 3 guns. I actually had a Magnum, a pocket 22 Magnum, a 40 caliber rocket, and a 223, and that darn little skunk held me at bay this entire time.
Let me ask you, RT, were you doing any of those Matrix, moves from the Matrix movie where you're in slow motion flipping and trying to shoot the skunk?
Well, you see the side of my leg, how bruised up it is where I was banging it trying to fuck this skunk off. Yeah, there was some moves been going on. Not to mention some very bad language, I think. You know, like somebody said, I thought I heard a little girl screaming. Well, buddy, when
that's what I'm saying. I heard you from the shop up there.
Yeah, it was not a pleasant thing. Kenny, Corey, he heard the shots. He said, "RT must have shot a big one." Yeah, he shot a big one, a big gallon of oil. And he's amazing with a metal can full of oil, how bad it explodes when you hit it with a 223 less than 10.
I don't think I got a foreign for an oil can.
Well, yeah, you're right. So listen, it gets worse. I called DNR to see what should I do with a rabbit skunk, and they said, "We don't know, but we'll give you a phone number of somebody at DHEC." And I said, "Oh, not DHEC." I called DHEC, and they passed me off to 3 people. And finally, I found the person who was assigned to handle the skunk instance. And they went on and called me back 3 times to make sure I actually hadn't been bit. And I said, "It did not bite me a bit. My britches." They said, "You need to get rid of the britches." I said, "They're fixing to be burned." Not to mention my drawers, too, at the problem at the time. So after all the phone calls to DHEC, making sure I was all right and trying to decide how to dispose of a rabbit skunk that's had his head shot in. Thank you, Kenny. I got to say, the lady called back. She said, "Have you learned anything?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. I'm going to shoot every stinking skunk I see on this farm like I used to. I'm going to continue." She said, "You're going to shoot the skunks?" I said, "All of them. At any distance or whatever, particularly headshots, or maybe not headshots at long distance. I don't like skunks no more." She said, "Well, at least you didn't get bit. What are you going to do with the skunk?" I said, "Well, what do you suggest?" She said, "Take it to the landfill." I said, "Somebody over there might handle it." She said, "You're right. You could go bury it." And I said, "My stupid dogs would dig it up." She said, "What's the other option you're thinking of?" I said, "I'm going to incinerate it. I'm going to cremate it and give it a decent funeral up there." So that's what I did. So now the hill smells like burnt skunk on top of the hill up here.
No, we're going to have, it ain't Peter that's going to be calling. It's going to be the Houston Oilers going to call and talk about.
I said that Ronnie's got full-color pictures. If you want to see a blown-up oil can, a mad RT, and a dead skunk, you can get this. We might put this all online.
We'll have to put it on the website, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
We ain't got a website.
Okay, but believe me, them black cats ain't half as scary as them black skunks that's got a hold of your wrist.
All right, RT.
How about a blind skunk?
Yeah, blind. Well, you see, listen, you can't tell he was blind. You're that close up. You see, his tail went up 3 times. At that point, I'm kind of cringing, but he never did spray anything. This whole time, till Kitty put that finishing coup de grace on him, he didn't spray anything. So that was pretty much the skunk story, and it was not no fun. I've heard this. I only told a couple of people to start with, and now I can't go into Iville, but I being called Skunky.
Pepe Le Pew.
And this bad part, my place where I hunt deer up there, it still has a vague aroma to it and stuff and all. And every time I smell skunk now, I kind of flinch up and draw up a little bit.
Well,
And I tell you, I had to throw my sandbags away. He chewed my sandbags. I hit him in the head 3 times with 10-pound sandbags. He stepped out and chewed up my sandbags I've had for years. So, folks, if you want to donate to my new sandbag supply, I've got to get new sandbags because they were chewed on by a rabid skunk like my britches, which I'd had almost 11 years. They went in the fire too.
well, I got to know one thing. If you're hunting skunk, if you're trying to bait them in, and draw them in, do you put up like old tires and sandbags and motor oil?
Actually, we used to catch it with sardines.
Well,
We put sardines in the trap out here and stuff, and skunks love sardines.
Times have changed.
Of course, I do too, so you got to kind of make sure I don't realize reaching there and grab the sardines.
Now we put 30-weight oil in it.
Oh, my God. And it would be used motor oil, which makes the bigger mess. But Kenny walked up and he said, if Bob was still alive, he'd whoop you. I said, whoop me? He'd shoot the skunk and then shoot me after I made that mess in his garage.
Yeah.
Pretty sad. Hey, boys and girls, I'm glad y'all enjoyed this skunk story because I felt like a little girl up there trapped by a daggone mountain lion after I screamed and hollered and hit this thing with so many things, and all it did was just kind of stumble off on me,
I'm sure everybody feels your pain, too. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, the skunk felt too, because when I get hold of something with a 10-22, I never did shoot something just once. When I'm mad, I just generally shoot a whole bunch of times. And, Kenny, I did find one bullet hole in the garage wall, so I guess I might have missed him one time when I shot the skunk. See y'all.
All right, Peppy, we'll talk with you next week.
I hope you don't lose your voice laughing so hard about this.
I'm trying not to. It's been talking to you. Nice talking to you, Peppy. And we'll talk with you next week. Oh, man.
How do you miss a blind skunk shooting a gun like that?
I don't know.
If the skunk is blind, how's he dodging the bullet?
He probably robo skunk.
if he's blind, I missed that part of the story earlier on. I caught it toward the middle of it that the skunk was blind.
Well, he said that the skunk was blind and his tongue was hanging out, but a hold of his pants leg. So I imagine that skunk was pretty pissed off biting through his tongue, holding on. He's trying to get his tongue back out. That's what was wrong with him.
Well,
I'd glaze up too.
And his teeth stuck in his tongue with his pants.
Well, that skunk might have those kind of powers. Like, remember that show Kung Fu?
Yeah.
Like that old blind master?
Oh, yeah.
He might have them kind of Kung Fu fighting. Kung Fu skunk. That'd be a good cartoon.
There you go. Grasshopper.
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 So, folks, if you're on your way to the woods, watch out for that blind, glazed-over tongue hanging out of skunk this morning.
If you need any help, we can get you Pepe Le Pew's exterminating service.
Pepe Le Pew's exterminating service, yeah. Is a call. And but watch out for the old drums.
And the sandbag.
And the sandbags. Boy, I tell you. I couldn't wait till Saturday got here. And, all right, who we got? I imagine this is Bobby.
No, we've got Vince from Pickens.
Vince, good morning.
Good morning, RT. I'm sure you're still listening, but that's hilarious.
I think that's going to be the funniest story of the year award right there.